Please welcome to the stage, Frank Mundo. Give it up for him. All right.
When I was 11 years old, I became a Mexican. I didn't plan on it or anything. It just kind of happened. I went to bed one night, and when I woke up, I was a Mexican. Back then, it was a lot of things, so another title didn't surprise me. I was a son and a brother. I was an artist and a comic book writer. I loved riding bikes, collecting baseball cards, and I was a huge NFL fan. I was also one of the best athletes in my school, and in my mind, one of the best basketball players in the world. I didn't know what a Mexican was just yet, but I was going to be the best at that too. It happened so fast. It was during recess on a new basketball court at a new school in a new state, and it was go time, baby. Time to show these California fools how it's done, son. Maryland style. I was about to introduce myself, to put on a show they never forget. I was about to take these chumps to school. In Maryland, we shot free throws to decide team captains, a fair and democratic process. In California, however, there was a far more efficient system, a variation of shirts and skins. They called it whites versus Mexicans. And it was pretty simple. Everyone with white skin was on one team, and everyone with brown skin was on the other. I was impressed. Recess was pretty short, and I wanted as much time as possible to show them what a wizard I was on the basketball court. And that didn't take very long. Shoot for ball, one of the white kids challenged me with a wicked bounce pass, but I short hopped it like a pro, and in one slick move, bounced the ball back between my legs, and our ball, I declared, before even shooting it, a promise soundly fulfilled with the metallic echo of the chain net, like money in the bank. Cha-ching. I walked back to the Mexican side with swagger, clearly the team's new captain. Let's do this, I said, and the game began. Now, obviously, the Mexicans prevailed. I don't remember all the details, but I do remember playing better than I even imagined. Just 2 hours before that, I had stood awkwardly in front of the new classroom as our teacher introduced me to these same students. Nervous and uncomfortable, I tried to avoid their stares and their judgments. But now, all the boys in my class were thoroughly interested in what I had to say. I made friends fast with these boys, real friends, good friends, my friends for the last 35 years. Over the years, we probably played hundreds of games of whites versus Mexicans basketball. My basketball skills, however, didn't translate as well with the girls that day, especially the Mexican girls, who quickly stripped me of my new title, a process they'd repeat several times over the years. For the rest of elementary school, I became pocho when it was learned that my Spanish wasn't very good. In junior high, I was downgraded to creído when my Spanish didn't improve, and neither did my effort to improve it. In high school, I became simply gringo or güero once it became clear that I was hopeless and I would never speak their language, a language they were convinced in those beautiful almond-shaped eyes should have been my language too. I don't blame them, really. They must have been just as confused about me as I was when we first moved to California, especially about my race. It might sound weird, but the subject simply didn't come up until we moved here. Sure, I was brown and my last name was Mundo, but all I knew for sure was that Mundo meant world in Spanish, and that Spanish was some language people spoke in Spain. Sometimes people would ask me if I was adopted, but I always told them what my mother had always told me. I was brown and dark-haired like my father, and my brother was white and blonde-haired like my mother. My father went to prison, and I lived with my mother who didn't speak Spanish. That usually ended any more conversations about adoption. But all this changed when we moved to Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, my brownness could no longer be ignored, and my last name was like a scarlet letter M. In Los Angeles, I was marked on the very first day of school and for the rest of my life. And not just by white boys and Mexican girls, by everyone, even the government. According to the state of California, I was officially Hispanic or Latino. My school records, the Census Bureau, not to mention every official form or document I would ever fill out, all indicated that I was Hispanic or Latino. as if the government wasn't quite sure. And I wasn't the only New Mexican on that first day of school either. There were at least 3 other brown-skinned ballers who weren't even Hispanic or Latino. The most blatant violation was committed against my friend Mike, who was Iranian. But in Los Angeles, Mike was a Mexican. And so was I. It was written all over our skin. Later in college, I took a literature course. One of the subjects we discussed was liminal characters, which were these mystical sort of beings, or monsters even, both good and evil, that live simultaneously in the threshold between 2 distinct realms. Ambiguous, they eluded classification, and while visible, were at the same time invisible. I was fascinated by this concept and so excited about its implications. For the first time in my life, here was a being I recognized and an existence that mirrored my own. After all, wasn't I a liminal character in the threshold between races, between worlds? Wasn't I a white Latino and a Mexican gringo? Suddenly, it all made sense and everything clicked for me. I finally knew why everyone else around me was more interested in my race than I was. It's because I'm a monster, a liminal creature. I ruin culture, I kill tradition, and I devour race. I'm the mucky residue on the mouth of the melting pot, and my very existence is repulsive and horrifying because I represent the future. I represent change, a necessarily ambiguous mixed-raced American human, void of classification, stereotypes, and by extension, pride. I am what one day in the future everyone will be, equal. Which brings us back to the great friends I made on that first day of school in California. I say great friends, not just because we've been friends ever since, but because over the years we realized the mistakes we made about each other and the colors of our skin, and we fixed them. We changed. We grew up and saw each other through our own eyes, with our own perspectives, and on our own terms. And we're still great friends because we're more than just the colors of our skin. I'm more. I'm a son, a brother, a husband, and a father now, too. I even married one of those Mexican girls with the almond-shaped eyes. I'm a poet and a short story writer. I love traveling, collecting first edition books, and I'm still a huge NFL fan. But most importantly, when my friends and I get together for games of whites versus Mexicans basketball, I'm a Mexican and a white. The team captain, in fact, and my team always wins. Thank you.